On Judgment Day, my 8-year-old daughter Emma walked into the courtroom holding a cracked iPad. "Your Honor, can I show you something my mommy doesn't know about?" Marcus jumped from his seat. His face went white. "Get her out of here now!" But it was too late. When that video started playing, the entire courtroom went silent, and I finally understood. My little girl had been secretly recording everything for 6 months. Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and follow my story to the very end. Leave a comment telling me which city you are watching from. I want to see how far my story has traveled. Now let me take you back to where this nightmare began. My name is Rachel Bennett. I am 34 years old. And 6 months ago, I discovered that my entire marriage was a carefully constructed prison. I met Marcus at a 4th of July barbecue in 2013. Houston heat, cold beer, fireworks over the bayou. He walked up to me with that confident smile and said, "You look like someone who actually reads the books on her shelf." I laughed. "Is that a compliment?" "Highest one I give." We talked until the fireworks ended. He was 28 already, a rising star at a financial firm downtown. I was 24, fresh out of college, teaching 4th grade at a public school in Katy. He made me feel seen, special, chosen. 3 months later, he proposed. My mama cried happy tears. My daddy shook his hand and said, "You take care of my girl." Marcus looked him straight in the eye and promised he would. He lied. The first crack appeared when I got pregnant with Emma. "I think you should quit teaching," Marcus said one evening. We were eating dinner at our new house in the suburbs. He said it the same way he might say, "Pass the salt." "Quit, Marcus, I love my job." "Rachel, think about it. Daycare costs almost as much as your salary. And our child deserves a mother who is actually present, not someone rushing home from work exhausted every day." "But teaching is who I am." He reached across the table and took my hand. His grip was gentle but firm. "You can be so much more than a teacher. You can be the heart of this family. Is not that more important?" I quit 2 weeks before Emma was born. I told myself it was my choice. Looking back, I see it was the first bar of the cage. Emma arrived on a rainy March morning in 2016, 7 pounds, 4 ounces, dark hair like her father, green eyes like mine. The moment the nurse placed her in my arms, something shifted inside me. I would die for this child. I would kill for this child. I did not know then that I would almost lose everything for her, too. The early years blurred together. Diapers, sleepless nights, first steps, first words. I threw myself into motherhood like it was a competitive sport. Homemade baby food, educational flashcards. Mommy and me classes at the community center. I was going to be perfect. I had to be perfect. Because if I was not a teacher anymore, what else did I have? Marcus worked longer hours. He missed dinners. He missed Emma's first steps. When I showed him the video on my phone, he glanced at it for 3 seconds and said, "Great, I have a conference call." "Marcus, she walked. Our daughter walked. And she will walk again tomorrow. This deal will not wait." I made excuses for him. He was under pressure. He was providing for us. He loved us in his own way. But Emma noticed. Children always notice. She was 5 years old when she first asked the question. We were baking cookies for her kindergarten class, Christmas music playing, flour on her nose. She looked up at me with those big green eyes and said, "Mommy, why does Daddy never smile at you anymore?" I froze with the cookie cutter in my hand. "What do you mean, baby?" "Daddy smiles at me. He smiles at people on TV, but he never smiles at you. Did you do something wrong?" I knelt down and hugged her tight so she would not see my face. "No, sweetheart. Mommy did not do anything wrong. Daddy is just tired from work." "Okay," she said. But she did not sound convinced. Neither was I. By Emma's 7th birthday, Marcus and I were strangers sharing a house. We slept in the same bed with a wall of silence between us. He spoke to me only to criticize. The coffee was weak. The house was dusty. Dinner was late. I tried harder, woke up earlier, stayed up later. Nothing satisfied him. "Why are you always moping around?" he asked one evening. "I am not moping. I am tired." "Tired from what? You do not work. You do not do anything." I bit my tongue until I tasted blood. I had learned that arguing only made things worse. But in front of Emma, Marcus transformed. He was dad of the year, presents, trips to the zoo, ice cream after dinner. He made her laugh while I reminded her to brush her teeth and finish her homework. "Daddy is so fun," Emma said constantly. The words were innocent. They cut like razors. One evening in late January, Marcus came home early. Emma was doing homework at the kitchen table. I was chopping vegetables for soup. "Emma, look what Daddy brought you." He held up a brand new iPad. Latest model, pink butterfly case. Emma's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Wow, thank you, Daddy." He hugged her and looked at me over her shoulder. That look said everything. I can give her things you never could. "Your old iPad is junk," Marcus said. "This one is much better. I set it up with games and apps. You can video chat with Daddy when I travel." "What should I do with my old one?" Emma asked. "Throw it away." But she did not throw it away. She hid it behind her stuffed animals. I found it once while cleaning and assumed she was being sentimental. Children get attached to things. I had no idea that cracked screen would save my life. March came with bluebonnets on the highway medians and the end of my world. Tuesday morning. Marcus left for work. Emma left for school. I was folding laundry when the doorbell rang. A courier in brown uniform held out a thick envelope. "Rachel Bennett. Yes. Sign here. No return address. Just a logo in the corner. Harrison Cromwell and Hayes, attorneys at law." I tore it open standing in the doorway. The first page made my knees buckle. Petition for dissolution of marriage. I grabbed the door frame to keep from falling. I read the words again and again. Petitioner Marcus James Bennett. Respondent Rachel Ann Bennett. Grounds. The wife has fundamentally failed in the performance of her marital and parental duties. Failed. The word burned into my brain like a brand. I stumbled to the couch and kept reading. Each page was a new knife. Marcus was demanding full custody of Emma. He claimed I was emotionally unstable, prone to hysterical outbursts, incapable of providing a safe environment. He wanted the house, all of it. His argument I had not contributed financially in 8 years. The house was the result of his labor alone. He wanted our savings, every penny, same argument. He was leaving me with nothing. No daughter, no home, no money, no future. The front door opened. Marcus walked in. He was supposed to be at work. He must have been waiting nearby, watching for the courier. "I see you got the papers." I looked up at him. My face was wet. I had not realized I was crying. "Why?" My voice cracked. "Why are you doing this?" He took off his jacket, loosened his tie. His face showed nothing. He might have been discussing the weather. "Because I am done, Rachel. Done pretending you are enough. You have failed as a wife, failed as a mother, and I want out." Failed. I stood up. My legs shook but held. I gave up everything for this family. My career, my independence, everything. "Gave up what that little teaching job," he laughed, cold, sharp. "You have done nothing but spend my money for 8 years, sitting around getting soft and boring. I deserve better." "And Emma? You think a judge will just hand her over?" Marcus stepped closer. His eyes were ice. "Emma already loves me more. She lights up when I walk in. With you, she just sees a sad woman crying on the couch. That is not true. My lawyer has evidence, Rachel. Photographs, financial records, an expert witness, a child psychologist who has been observing you for months. She will testify that you are unfit." "What photographs? What expert?" Marcus smiled. I had never seen cruelty so naked on a human face. "Remember last month when you had the flu? You were in bed for 3 days. I took pictures, dirty dishes, messy rooms, laundry piling up, proof you neglect the home. I was sick. I had 103 fever. I begged you to help. No medical records, though. You just took some Tylenol and complained." I felt the trap closing, steel jaws around my throat. "The credit card," Marcus continued. The one in your name. I have statements showing thousands in luxury purchases, designer bags, jewelry, restaurant bills. I never bought those things. You used that card. You told me your corporate card had limits. Can you prove that? I could not. He knew I could not. And our savings account, I whispered. The emergency fund. I grabbed my phone, opened the banking app, entered the password with trembling fingers. The balance appeared on screen. $0, $300,000, gone. Where is it? The scream tore from my throat. Where is our money? Marcus did not flinch. My money, money I earned. It is somewhere safe, somewhere you will never find it. I lunged at him. 8 years of fear and frustration exploded. I wanted to hurt him, wanted him to feel a fraction of this pain. He caught my wrists easily, held them tight, and he laughed. Perfect. Thank you, Rachel. He released one hand and pulled out his phone, showed me the screen, a video of me, screaming, lunging, face twisted with rage, hysterical, violent, unstable. He pocketed the phone. My lawyer will love this. I stumbled backward. He had baited me, provoked me on purpose, recorded everything. You planned this, all of it. For 2 years. He straightened his tie. Every detail. You never suspected a thing, because you are not smart enough to suspect. He headed for the stairs. Start looking for an apartment, Rachel. Something cheap, because you will not get $1 from me, and after the trial, you will not get Emma either. I sank to the floor. The papers scattered around me. The 0 glowed on my phone. My husband of 10 years had spent 2 years constructing my destruction, and I had been too blind to see it. I cried until the shadows grew long, until the light turned orange through the windows, until I heard the front door. Mommy, I am home. Emma dropped her backpack and ran to me, her small arms wrapped around my neck. Mommy, why are you on the floor? Why are you crying? I wiped my face, tried to smile, failed. Mommy had a hard day, sweetheart. Emma pulled back and looked at me. Those green eyes saw too much. Did Daddy make you sad again? Again. She said again. She knew. She had always known. Everything will be okay, baby. I promise. The lie tasted like ash in my mouth. That night, after Emma went to bed, I sat in the dark living room with a glass of wine and faced the truth. I had no money, no job, no skills that mattered after 8 years out of the workforce, no family nearby. My parents had passed. My sister lived in Oregon and had her own problems. I was completely, utterly alone. The next morning I started calling lawyers. The first one wanted a $5,000 retainer. The second wanted $7,500. The third laughed when I explained I had no access to funds. Ma'am, divorce cases like this require resources. Without money, there is not much any attorney can do. I called 12 lawyers that day. 12 rejections. On the 13th call, a receptionist took pity on me. Have you tried legal aid? They help people who cannot afford attorneys. I called legal aid. The woman who answered sounded exhausted. We are scheduling 3 weeks out. I have to respond to the petition in 20 days. I understand, ma'am, but we have limited staff. I was about to hang up when she paused. Actually, wait. There is an attorney who takes emergency cases, David Chen. Small practice on the east side. No guarantees, but he might help. David Chen. The name meant nothing then. It would come to mean everything. His office was on the second floor of a strip mall off Highway 59. The carpet was stained. The furniture was old. But the walls were covered with photographs. David Chen shaking hands with families. David Chen receiving awards. David Chen standing in front of courthouses with people who looked grateful. He was mid-40s, wire-rimmed glasses, calm eyes. His handshake was firm but kind. Tell me everything, he said, from the beginning. I talked for 2 hours. Every detail, every trap, every lie. He listened without interrupting, took notes on a yellow legal pad. His jaw tightened when I described the video, the empty account, the fabricated evidence. When I finished, he set down his pen. Rachel, I need to be honest. This is one of the most calculated setups I have ever seen. Your husband did not just prepare for divorce. He built a case to destroy you." "I know." "He has money. He has a 2-year head start. He has evidence even if it is manufactured. Fighting him will be brutal." "I do not care about brutal. I care about Emma." David nodded slowly. "Then we fight. I will take your case. We can discuss payment after you are back on your feet." "Why would you do that?" "Because 20 years ago, my mother went through something similar. She had no one to help her." He met my eyes. "I became a lawyer so other women would not face that alone." David filed our response. He demanded financial disclosure documentation of Marcus's claims discovery of all evidence. Marcus's lawyer, Richard Hayes, sent back a package that made me physically sick. The photographs were devastating. My kitchen looking like a condemned building, rotting food, overflowing trash, dirty dishes stacked to the ceiling. It looked like the home of someone who had completely given up. "These were taken when I was sick," I told David. "Marcus refused to help. He let everything pile up on purpose." "Can you prove that?" "No." The credit card statements were worse. $15,000 at Neiman Marcus, $8,000 at a jewelry store, $5,000 at restaurants I had never visited, all signed with my name. He forged my signature, or convinced you to sign blank receipts. Do you remember signing documents without reading them? I thought back. There had been times. Just sign this, it is a tax thing. The bank needs your signature. I had trusted him. I had never looked closely. I was so stupid. You were not stupid. You were married to a con artist. There is a difference. The worst was the expert witness, Dr. Vanessa Cole, licensed clinical psychologist. According to her report, she had observed my interactions with Emma at the park, the grocery store school pickup. Specific dates, specific incidents, specific quotes. Her conclusion: I exhibited signs of emotional volatility, narcissistic personality traits, and psychological instability that made me a danger to my daughter's well-being. She recommended full custody for Marcus. I have never met this woman in my life, I said. David frowned. That is what concerns me. A legitimate evaluation requires direct interviews, consent forms, testing. This is all based on distant observation. It is highly unusual. Can we challenge her credentials? I already checked. On paper, she is legitimate. Degrees from good schools, published research, a registered practice. Then what do? We find the crack in her story. Because somewhere there is one. There always is. The weeks before trial were a slow torture. Marcus stayed in the house. His lawyer advised it. Document her behavior, gather more ammunition. Every day was a performance. In front of Emma, he was the perfect father. Gifts, laughter, special trips. Behind closed doors, he looked at me like I was garbage waiting for pickup. He whispered things when Emma was not around. Enjoy her while you can. Soon she will not even remember your name. My lawyer says this will be over by summer. Start packing. Vanessa cannot wait to testify. She has been practicing her lines. That name, Vanessa. He said it differently than the others. A softness in his voice, a familiarity. I started watching, noticing. The late nights that smelled like perfume, the texts he angled away, the smile that crossed his face when his phone buzzed. One Saturday, Marcus took Emma to the zoo. They came back hours later, Emma clutching 3 new stuffed animals and chattering about the elephants. We had so much fun. Mommy Daddy's friend came too. She is really nice. I felt ice in my stomach. What friend, baby? A lady with pretty brown hair. She bought me cotton candy. She said she hopes we can be good friends soon. I looked at Marcus. He was smiling, daring me to react. That sounds nice, sweetheart. Go wash up for dinner. Emma ran upstairs. I turned to Marcus. Who was she? A colleague. What is her name? None of your business. But I already knew. I knew it was Vanessa, the expert witness. The woman paid to destroy me in court. She was meeting my daughter, buying her treats, becoming her friend. The trap was not just financial and legal, it was emotional. They were trying to replace me before the judge even ruled. I wanted to scream, throw things, burn the house down with him inside. Instead, I smiled. Dinner will be ready in 20 minutes. Control. I had to maintain control. Every outburst was evidence. Every tear was ammunition. I had to become stone until the trial. That night I went to Emma's room to tuck her in. She was already in bed, clutching her old teddy bear. "Mommy, can I ask you something? Anything, baby. Are you and Daddy going to get divorced like Megan's parents?" My heart cracked. "Why do you ask that?" "Because Daddy told me things might change soon. He said maybe I would live with him in a new house. He said you need rest because you are tired and sad." I sat on the edge of her bed, took her small hand in mine. "Emma, I want you to listen to me. I am not tired. I am not sad because of you. You are the best thing that ever happened to me. And no matter what happens, I will always be your mommy. Nothing will ever change that. Promise. Promise." She hugged me tight. Over her shoulder, I saw something sticking out from under her pillow, the corner of her old iPad, the cracked one Marcus told her to throw away. "Emma, why do you still have that?" She pulled back quickly, almost guiltily. "I just like it. It is mine." "Okay, sweetheart, get some sleep." I kissed her forehead and turned off the light. At the door, I looked back. Emma had pulled the iPad under the covers with her clutching it like a secret. I thought she was just being sentimental. Children hold on to things. I had no idea she was holding on to the truth. The week before trial, David called me to his office. "I need to prepare you," he said. "Hayes is going to try to provoke you on the stand. He wants you to lose control, to prove you are exactly what Vanessa described in her report." I can stay calm. Can you? When he calls you a liar, a failure, an unfit mother, when he shows that video of you lunging at Marcus. My hands clenched. "I will manage." "Rachel, I have seen strong people crumble under cross-examination. Hayes is good at what he does. He will find your weakest point and hammer it until you break." "What is my weakest point?" David looked at me with something like pity. "Emma. He will use Emma against you. He will twist your love for her into obsession, your protection into control. He will make you sound like exactly the unstable mother they have been describing." I stared at the wall behind him, at the photographs of families he had helped, at the hope in their faces. Then let him try. I have already lost everything else. The only thing I have left to fight for is my daughter, and I will not stop fighting until there is nothing left of me. David nodded slowly. "Good. Hold on to that. You are going to need it." The night before the trial, I could not sleep. I sat in Emma's room watching her breathe. She looked so peaceful, so innocent. She had no idea that tomorrow would decide her entire future. "I am so sorry, baby," I whispered. "I am sorry I did not see what he was. I am sorry I could not protect you from this." She stirred, but did not wake. Her hand moved under the pillow, touching that hidden iPad. I thought about taking it, looking at what was on it. But it was hers, her private thing. I would not violate that. I went back to my room and lay in the darkness. Tomorrow I would walk into a courtroom and fight for my life, against a man who had spent 2 years preparing my destruction, against a system that favored money and manipulation, against a woman who had lied about me without ever meeting me. The odds were impossible. The evidence was against me. The outcome seemed inevitable. But I thought about Emma's question. "Are you and Daddy going to get divorced?" And I thought about my promise. I will always be your mommy. Nothing will ever change that. I had made that promise looking into her eyes. I had meant every word. Tomorrow I would find out if promises were enough, if truth could defeat money, if a mother's love could overcome a father's lies. I did not know then that the answer was sleeping down the hall, clutching a cracked iPad full of secrets. I did not know that my 8-year-old daughter had been fighting for me all along. The morning of March 15th arrived with gray skies over Houston. Rachel Bennett stood in front of her bathroom mirror at 5:30 in the morning, staring at a woman she barely recognized. Dark circles under her eyes, hollow cheeks, hands that would not stop trembling. She had not slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Marcus's smile, heard his voice. "My lawyer says this will be over by summer." Down the hall, Emma was still sleeping. Rachel had checked on her 3 times during the night. Each time her daughter was curled up peacefully, that old iPad tucked under her pillow like a stuffed animal. Rachel put on her best dress, navy blue, conservative. David Chen had told her to look like a responsible mother, not a grieving victim. She applied makeup to hide the exhaustion, practiced her smile in the mirror until it looked almost real. At 7:15, her phone buzzed. David Chen. "I am outside. Are you ready?" "No," Rachel said, "but let us go anyway." The Harris County Family Courthouse loomed like a fortress. Rachel walked through security with David at her side, her heels clicking on the marble floor. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. They reached courtroom 4B at 8:45. The hearing was scheduled for 9. Marcus was already there. He sat at the plaintiff's table with his lawyer, Richard Hayes. Both men wore expensive suits. Both looked confident, relaxed, like they had already won and were just here for the formality. Marcus glanced up when Rachel entered. He smiled. Not a warm smile, a predator's smile. The smile of a man who knew his prey was trapped. Rachel forced herself to look away. She sat down next to David and placed her hands flat on the table to stop them from shaking. "Breathe," David whispered. "Whatever happens in there, just breathe." At 9:02, the bailiff announced the judge, the Honorable Patricia Morrison, mid-60s, silver hair pulled back tight, reading glasses perched on her nose. She had a reputation for being fair but stern. She did not tolerate dramatics in her courtroom. "Case number 2024 FC 7892, Judge Morrison said. "Bennett versus Bennett, petition for dissolution of marriage and custody determination. Are both parties present and represented?" "Yes, Your Honor," Richard Hayes said, rising smoothly. Richard Hayes for the petitioner, Marcus Bennett. David Chen for the respondent, Rachel Bennett. Judge Morrison shuffled some papers. "I have reviewed the preliminary filings. This appears to be a contentious matter. I expect professional conduct from both sides. Any outbursts will result in immediate sanctions." She looked directly at Rachel when she said this. Rachel felt her stomach drop. The judge had already read the filings. She had already seen the accusations, the photographs, the psychological evaluation. In her mind, Rachel was already the unstable wife. "Mr. Hayes, you may proceed with your opening statement." Richard Hayes stood. He buttoned his jacket and walked toward the center of the room like an actor taking the stage. "Your Honor, this case is simple but tragic. My client Marcus Bennett is a devoted father who has watched his wife deteriorate over the past several years. He has witnessed her neglect of their home. He has documented her reckless spending. He has observed her emotional instability firsthand." Hayes paused for effect. Marcus Bennett did not want to be here today. He wanted to preserve his family. But when his daughter's welfare is at stake, he had no choice. The evidence will show that Rachel Bennett is incapable of providing a safe, stable environment for 8-year-old Emma. The evidence will show that full custody must be granted to the father, not as punishment, but as protection. He sat down. Marcus nodded gravely, playing the concerned parent. David Chen rose. His suit was not as expensive. His manner was not as polished, but his voice was steady. "Your Honor, what my colleague calls evidence I call fabrication. What he calls concern I call calculation. Marcus Bennett spent 2 years planning this divorce, 2 years manipulating finances, 2 years manufacturing a case against a woman whose only crime was trusting her husband." Hayes objected. "Your Honor, counsel is making unfounded accusations." "Sustained. Mr. Chen, save the arguments for your case in chief." David nodded. "The evidence will show that Rachel Bennett is a loving, capable mother who has dedicated 8 years to raising her daughter. The evidence will show that Marcus Bennett emptied their joint accounts, forged credit card charges, and staged photographs to create a false narrative. This is not a custody case. This is a con job." He sat down. Rachel wanted to hug him. Judge Morrison made a note. "Mr. Hayes, call your first witness." The petitioner calls Marcus James Bennett. Marcus walked to the witness stand like he owned it. He was sworn in, then settled into the chair with practiced ease. Hayes began gently. "Mr. Bennett, can you describe your marriage over the past few years?" Marcus sighed, the sigh of a man carrying a heavy burden. It has been difficult, Mr. Hayes. I love my wife. I have always loved her. But she changed after Emma was born. She became withdrawn, angry. She stopped taking care of herself, stopped taking care of our home. Can you give specific examples? There were times I would come home from work to find the house in complete disarray. Dirty dishes piled in the sink, laundry everywhere. Emma sitting in front of the television because Rachel was too tired to engage with her. Rachel gripped the edge of the table. Lies, all lies. Did you try to address these concerns with your wife? Many times, but she would get defensive, hostile. She would accuse me of not appreciating her. Sometimes she would scream at me, throw things. Marcus shook his head sadly. I started documenting because I was afraid for Emma, and the photographs entered as Exhibit A through F. I took them over a period of several months. I did not want to, but I needed proof. I needed someone to believe me. Hayes picked up a stack of photographs and handed them to the judge. Rachel had seen them before in David's office, but seeing them displayed in open court was different. Worse, her kitchen, unrecognizable, filthy, disgusting. These were taken when I was sick, Rachel whispered to David. I know, we will address it. Hayes continued. Mr. Bennett, what about the financial issues? Rachel has always had difficulty with money. She shops when she is stressed. She hides purchases from me. When I discovered the credit card statements, I was shocked. Thousands of dollars on things we did not need, things she never even told me about. Did you confront her? I tried. She denied everything, said I was controlling, said I was trying to make her feel bad. Marcus looked at the judge with wounded eyes. I was just trying to understand where our money was going. Rachel wanted to scream. He was so good at this, so convincing. Every word was a lie wrapped in sincerity. One final question for now, Mr. Bennett. What do you want from this proceeding? Marcus straightened. I want my daughter to be safe. I want her to grow up in a stable environment with a parent who can meet her needs. I love Rachel. I will always love her. But Emma has to come first. Thank you. No further questions. David stood for cross-examination. Rachel held her breath. Mr. Bennett, you testified that you documented your wife's behavior because you were afraid. Is that correct? Yes. Afraid of what exactly? Afraid for Emma's safety. Afraid that Rachel's instability would harm our daughter. And yet you never called the police, never contacted Child Protective Services, never sought any official intervention. Marcus hesitated. I was hoping things would improve. For 2 years, you documented alleged neglect and instability for 2 years without seeking help for your daughter. I was trying to handle it privately, to protect my family. Or were you building a case collecting ammunition for a divorce you had already planned? Hayes objected, argumentative. Withdrawn. Mr. Bennett, you mentioned your wife's shopping habits. Are you aware that the credit card in question was frequently in your possession? I may have borrowed it occasionally when my corporate card had issues. Occasionally, the statements show charges at restaurants you frequented for business lunches, charges at stores you visited, charges signed with a signature that does not match your wife's handwriting. Marcus's composure flickered, just for a second. I do not know anything about that. We will have a handwriting expert testify later in these proceedings, but let me ask you directly. Did you make purchases on your wife's credit card and allow her to be blamed? Absolutely not. Did you transfer $300,000 from your joint savings account to a private account 6 months ago? Those funds were earned by me. I moved them to protect them from Rachel's spending. To protect them, or to ensure your wife had no resources to fight this divorce. Hayes objected again. Your Honor Counsel is badgering the witness. Sustained. Move on, Mr. Chen. David paused. One more question, Mr. Bennett. Do you know a woman named Dr. Vanessa Cole? Something changed in Marcus's face. A micro-expression. There and gone in a heartbeat. But Rachel saw it. Fear. She is a psychologist. My lawyer retained her as an expert witness. Have you ever met her socially? No. Never had dinner with her. Never spent time with her outside of legal consultations. No. David looked at Rachel, then back at Marcus. We will revisit that. No further questions. Marcus returned to his seat. He whispered something to Hayes. The lawyer nodded but looked less confident than before. Judge Morrison checked the clock. We will take a 15-minute recess. In the hallway, Rachel grabbed David's arm. He is lying. About everything. Cannot the judge see that? Judges see evidence, Rachel, not lies. We need to prove he is lying. That is different. The handwriting expert. Will that help? Maybe. But Marcus can claim you gave him permission to use the card. He can claim you signed blank receipts. It is your word against his. Rachel leaned against the wall. Then what do we have? We have Dr. Vanessa Cole. Did you see his face when I asked about her? Yes. There is something there. I do not know what yet, but there is something. The recess ended. Everyone returned to their seats. Hayes called his next witness. The petitioner calls Dr. Vanessa Cole. The courtroom doors opened. A woman walked in. Rachel's breath caught in her throat. She was beautiful. Early 30s, dark hair pulled back elegantly, professional blazer, confident stride. She looked like someone who had never doubted herself a day in her life. But it was not her appearance that made Rachel freeze. It was the smell. As Vanessa walked past the respondent's table, a wave of perfume followed her. Soft, floral, distinctive. Rachel knew that scent. She had smelled it on Marcus's shirts for months. She had smelled it on him the night he came home late from the zoo with Emma. "David," Rachel whispered urgently. "That is her. That is the woman. She is his mistress." David's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "The perfume. I would know it anywhere." Vanessa was sworn in. She settled into the witness chair with practiced ease, crossing her legs and folding her hands in her lap. Hayes approached. "Dr. Cole, please state your credentials for the record." "I hold a doctorate in clinical psychology from Rice University. I am licensed in the state of Texas. I specialize in family dynamics and child developmental assessment. I have published 14 peer-reviewed articles and testified as an expert witness in over 30 custody cases. And you were retained to evaluate the family dynamics in this case." "I was." "Can you describe your methodology?" Vanessa nodded professionally. "Given the sensitive nature of custody disputes, I conducted naturalistic observations. I observed Mrs. Bennett and her daughter Emma in public settings over a 3-month period. Parks, shopping centers, school pickup. This allowed me to assess their interactions without the artificial constraints of a clinical setting." "And what were your findings?" Vanessa opened a folder and glanced at her notes. "I observed multiple concerning patterns. First, Mrs. Bennett displayed inconsistent emotional regulation. In one incident at Memorial Park, she grabbed Emma forcefully and shouted at her in front of other parents. The child appeared frightened. Rachel's heart raced. She remembered that day. Emma had almost stepped into traffic. Rachel had grabbed her out of pure terror. Second, Mrs. Bennett frequently appeared distracted during interactions with Emma. At a shopping center, I observed her absorbed in her phone while Emma wandered unsupervised. When Emma fell, Mrs. Bennett's reaction was delayed and then exaggerated, which can be re-traumatizing for a child. Another lie. Another twisted version of reality. Third, in my professional opinion, Mrs. Bennett exhibits signs of emotional volatility consistent with a personality disorder. This creates an unpredictable environment that is detrimental to healthy child development. Hayes nodded gravely. "And your recommendation?" "I recommend full custody be awarded to Mr. Bennett. He presents as the more stable, emotionally consistent parent. Emma would benefit from the structure and security he can provide." "Thank you, Dr. Cole." David rose for cross-examination. Rachel could see the tension in his shoulders. "Dr. Cole, you testified that you observed Mrs. Bennett over a 3-month period. How many total hours of observation?" "Approximately 8 to 10 hours. 8 to 10 hours, spread over 3 months. And from those 8 to 10 hours, you concluded that Mrs. Bennett has a personality disorder." "I concluded she exhibits signs consistent with such a disorder." "Have you ever met Mrs. Bennett in person, conducted an interview, administered any psychological tests?" "Naturalistic observation does not require direct contact." "That is not what I asked. Have you ever spoken directly to my client?" Vanessa's smile tightened. "No." "Have you reviewed her medical records?" "No." "Her educational background, employment history, any documentation of her life before these alleged observations?" No, my assessment was based on behavioral observation. So you diagnosed a personality disorder in a woman you have never met based on watching her from a distance for less than 10 hours. I did not diagnose. I identified concerning patterns. Patterns that happen to align perfectly with the narrative Mr. Bennett presented in his filing. Patterns that support removing a child from her mother. Hayes objected. Your Honor Counsel is attacking the witness's professional integrity. Overruled, the witness may answer. Vanessa maintained her composure. My findings are objective and based on observed behavior. David picked up a piece of paper. Dr. Cole, you mentioned an incident at Memorial Park where Mrs. Bennett grabbed Emma forcefully. I have here a police report from that same date. A child nearly walked into oncoming traffic and was pulled back by her mother. Several witnesses described the mother as heroic. Does that change your interpretation? Vanessa did not miss a beat. A parent's reaction can be protective and still be excessive. The manner in which Mrs. Bennett grabbed the child could have caused injury. But it did not, and the alternative was the child being struck by a car. I can only report what I observed. David paused. He looked at Vanessa for a long moment. Dr. Cole, have you ever met Marcus Bennett outside of this legal proceeding? I met with him and his attorney to discuss the case. Only in that context, never socially. No. Never had dinner with him. No. Never been to his home. Absolutely not. David walked back to the table. He picked up his phone and showed it to Rachel. On the screen was a photo. Marcus and Vanessa at a restaurant laughing, her hand on his arm. Rachel had never seen it before. David must have obtained it during discovery. Your Honor, I would like to enter this photograph as Exhibit 7. Hayes jumped up. Objection. We have not seen this evidence. It was obtained through a licensed investigator 2 days ago. I have the authentication documents. Judge Morrison took the photograph. Her eyes narrowed. Dr. Cole, this photograph appears to show you and Mr. Bennett at a restaurant. In what looks like a romantic context. Vanessa's composure finally cracked. Just slightly. A flush crept up her neck. That was a professional meeting. You are holding his arm. You appear to be laughing intimately. We were discussing the case. At a candlelit restaurant with wine on the table. Marcus shifted in his seat. Hayes was furiously writing notes. David pressed forward. Dr. Cole, I am going to ask you one more time. Are you having a personal relationship with Marcus Bennett? Vanessa looked at Marcus. He looked at his hands. I decline to answer on the grounds that it may incriminate me. The courtroom erupted. Hayes shouted objection. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. Order. Order in this court. Rachel felt dizzy. It was happening. The truth was finally coming out. But Hayes recovered quickly. Your Honor, even if Dr. Cole has a personal relationship with my client, that does not invalidate her professional observations. She is a licensed psychologist. Her credentials are impeccable. Judge Morrison considered this. The relationship is concerning, but Mr. Hayes has a point. Dr. Cole's credentials are legitimate. Her methodology, while unusual, is not outside professional bounds. I will take the relationship into account when weighing her testimony, but I cannot dismiss it entirely. Rachel's hope deflated. Even caught in a lie, Vanessa's testimony would still count. The system was protecting her. We will resume at 9 tomorrow morning, Judge Morrison said. Mrs. Bennett will take the stand for direct examination. That night, Rachel sat in Emma's room again. Her daughter was asleep, clutching the old iPad as always. Rachel thought about the next day, about taking the stand, about Hayes cross-examining her, about that video of her lunging at Marcus. She thought about Vanessa's perfume lingering in the courtroom, about Marcus's lies delivered so smoothly, about a judge who saw evidence instead of truth. She thought about losing Emma. For the first time since this began, Rachel considered giving up, just signing whatever Marcus wanted, walking away with nothing. At least then the fighting would stop. At least then Emma would not be caught in the middle. But then she looked at her daughter's sleeping face, and she remembered Emma's question from weeks ago. Did Daddy make you sad again, Emma knew. On some level, Emma had always known. And Emma deserved a mother who would fight for her, not a mother who surrendered. Rachel leaned down and kissed her daughter's forehead. "I will not let him win, baby. I promise." Emma stirred slightly. Her hand tightened around the iPad, and somewhere in that cracked device, unknown to Rachel, was the evidence that would change everything. The second day of trial began at 9 sharp. Rachel walked into the courtroom feeling like she was walking to her own execution. She had barely slept. Her dress felt too tight. Her makeup could not hide the fear in her eyes. David met her at the respondent's table. "Remember what we discussed. Stay calm. Answer only what is asked. Do not let Hayes bait you." "What if I cannot do this?" "You can. You have to." Judge Morrison entered. Everyone rose. "Mr. Chen, call your witness." David stood. "The respondent calls Rachel Bennett." Rachel walked to the stand. Her legs felt like they belonged to someone else. She was sworn in, raised her hand, promised to tell the truth. Then she sat down and faced the room. David approached with a gentle expression. "Mrs. Bennett, can you tell the court about your marriage in your own words?" Rachel took a breath. "I met Marcus in 2013. We got married in 2014. For the first few years, I was happy. I thought we both were." "What changed?" "After Emma was born, Marcus asked me to quit my teaching job. He said it made more sense financially. I agreed because I trusted him." "Did you want to quit?" "No. I loved teaching, but I loved my family more. I thought I was making a sacrifice for us." "And how did your husband treat you after you stopped working?" Rachel hesitated. The memories were painful. "At first things were normal, but gradually he became critical. Nothing I did was good enough. The house was never clean enough. The food was never right. I tried harder and harder, but it was never enough." "Did you ever discuss these concerns with your husband?" "I tried, but he would dismiss me. Tell me I was overreacting. Tell me I should be grateful he provided for us." Rachel's voice cracked slightly. "Eventually I stopped trying." "Mrs. Bennett, your husband presented photographs of your home in a state of disarray. Can you explain those?" "I had the flu, a bad one. I was in bed for 3 days with 103 fever. I asked Marcus to help with the housework, but he refused. He said he had to work. When I finally recovered, I found out he had been taking photographs the entire time." "Did you see a doctor for this illness?" "No. I just took over-the-counter medicine. I did not think it was serious enough for a doctor." "And the credit card charges?" "I never made those purchases. Marcus used that card constantly. He told me his corporate card had limits. I trusted him. I signed documents he put in front of me without reading them because I believed he would never hurt me." David nodded. "Thank you, Mrs. Bennett. No further questions." Hayes rose slowly. He buttoned his jacket. He smiled. "Mrs. Bennett, you testified that you trusted your husband completely. Is that accurate?" "Yes." "You trusted him so completely that you signed blank documents without reading them." "I did not say they were blank. I said I did not read them carefully." "But you admit you signed financial documents without understanding them." "I admit I trusted my husband. That is a pattern of behavior, is it not? Trusting, following, not taking responsibility." David objected. Argumentative. Sustained. Hayes shifted tactics. "Mrs. Bennett, you heard Dr. Cole's testimony about observing you with your daughter. Do you deny that you grabbed Emma forcefully at Memorial Park?" "I pulled her back from traffic. She almost stepped in front of a car." "But you grabbed her, physically." "To save her life." "Yes." "And you shouted at her. In public." "I said her name loudly because I was scared." Dr. Cole testified that Emma appeared frightened. "Emma was scared because she almost got hit by a car, not because of me." Hayes picked up a piece of paper. "Mrs. Bennett, your husband testified that you are prone to emotional outbursts, that you scream, throw things. Is any of that true?" "I have never thrown anything at my husband." "But you have screamed at him." Rachel paused. The video. He was leading her to the video. "I have raised my voice when I was upset, like any person." Like any person or like an emotionally unstable person, David objected again. Your Honor, counsel is characterizing the witness. Sustained. Mr. Hayes asked questions. Do not make speeches. Hayes smiled. I have a video, Your Honor. Entered as Exhibit 12. I would like to play it for the court. Rachel's blood turned to ice. The screen at the front of the courtroom flickered. Then the video began. Rachel saw herself, hair wild, face contorted, screaming, lunging at Marcus, arms flailing. She looked insane. She looked exactly like the woman Vanessa had described. The video stopped. Mrs. Bennett, is that you in the video? Yes. And are you lunging at your husband? He had just told me he was taking my daughter. He had just shown me that he had emptied our savings. He provoked me on purpose. But you did lunge at him, physically. I was devastated. I had just found out my entire marriage was a lie. So when you are devastated, you become violent. I was not violent. I did not hurt him. But you tried to. I was not thinking clearly. Hayes turned to the judge. Your Honor, I submit that this video corroborates Dr. Cole's assessment. Mrs. Bennett is emotionally volatile, prone to outbursts, and potentially dangerous. David stood. Your Honor, this video was taken by Mr. Bennett after he deliberately provoked his wife. He had just informed her of the divorce. He had just revealed he had stolen their savings. Any person would react emotionally to such betrayal. The video speaks for itself, Hayes said. We can all see what Mrs. Bennett is capable of. Judge Morrison made notes. Her face revealed nothing. Hayes turned back to Rachel. One final question, Mrs. Bennett. If the court grants custody to your husband, will you accept that decision peacefully, or will we see more of what is on that video? Rachel felt tears burning her eyes. She wanted to scream. She wanted to jump over the witness stand and attack Hayes the way she had attacked Marcus. But she saw David's face, his warning, do not let him bait you. She took a breath. I will accept whatever this court decides, she said quietly. Because I respect the law, but I want the court to know that I am a good mother. I love my daughter more than anything in the world, and I would never ever do anything to hurt her. No further questions. Rachel returned to her seat. Her hands were shaking. Her vision was blurry with tears she refused to let fall. David squeezed her arm. You did good. But Rachel did not feel good. She felt destroyed. The video had done its work. The judge had seen her at her worst. All of Marcus's lies were overshadowed by those 30 seconds of footage. Judge Morrison checked the clock. We will recess until tomorrow for closing arguments and my ruling. Court is adjourned. Rachel stood on numb legs. She gathered her things. She walked toward the exit. And then she saw something that made her stop. In the back row of the gallery, a woman was sitting. An older woman with gray hair and kind eyes. Rachel did not recognize her. But next to her was Emma. Emma was supposed to be at school. She was supposed to be far away from this courtroom, protected from the ugliness of her parents' war. But there she was, sitting quietly, watching. And in her lap was the cracked iPad. Rachel's heart stopped. How long had Emma been there? What had she seen? What had she heard? Mommy! Emma jumped up and ran to her. Rachel knelt and hugged her tight. Baby, what are you doing here? Who brought you? Aunt Susan from church. She said you needed support. Emma pulled back and looked at her mother with those two old eyes. Mommy, why was the judge watching that video of you? Why did Daddy make you look bad? Rachel did not know what to say. Mommy, I have something I need to show the judge, but I do not know if I am allowed. Rachel looked at the iPad in Emma's hands. What is it, sweetheart? What is on there? Emma bit her lip. I cannot tell you. You said if there are bad people, we need proof. I have proof, but I do not know how to give it to the judge. Rachel felt something shift, something she could not quite understand. Emma, whatever is on that iPad, you can tell me. You can show me. Emma shook her head. No, Mommy, you are not supposed to know. I heard them say it. You are not supposed to know, but the judge should know. The judge needs to see the truth. Rachel looked at her daughter, 8 years old, caught between two parents at war, holding on to a secret she believed could save her mother. Tomorrow, Rachel said finally. We will figure it out tomorrow. But she had no idea what tomorrow would bring. No idea that her daughter's secret would change everything. No idea that in less than 24 hours, the entire courtroom would watch in stunned silence as an 8-year-old girl revealed what her parents never knew she had seen. That night, Rachel sat at the kitchen table with the iPad in front of her. Emma was asleep upstairs. The house was silent, except for the hum of the refrigerator and the pounding of Rachel's heart. She had promised Emma she would not look. Her daughter had made her swear on everything sacred. But the temptation was overwhelming. Whatever was on that device could save her or destroy her. Rachel reached for it. Her fingers touched the cracked screen. Then she pulled back. Emma trusted her. In a world where her father lied and manipulated, Emma had chosen to trust her mother with something important. Rachel would not betray that trust, not even to save herself. She pushed the iPad away and buried her face in her hands. The phone rang at 11:45. David Chen. Rachel, we need to talk about tomorrow. I know. Hayes is going to push for an immediate ruling. He thinks he has won. The judge saw that video. She saw you lose control. I did not lose control. I was provoked. I know that, but the judge does not know what happened before the recording started. All she saw was you lunging at Marcus. Rachel closed her eyes. So what do we do? We pray for a miracle, or we find new evidence tonight. Rachel looked at the iPad on the table. What if I told you Emma has something she wants to show the judge? Silence on the other end. What kind of something? I do not know. She would not tell me. She said I am not supposed to know, but she wants to show it to the court. Rachel, you cannot put an 8-year-old on the witness stand. Hayes would object. The judge would never allow it. What if Emma does it herself? What if she just walks in and asks to show something? That is not how courts work. What if it is her only chance? What if it is my only chance? David was quiet for a long moment. I cannot advise you to do anything irregular, but I can tell you that Judge Morrison has a reputation for caring about children. If Emma walked in with something compelling, something that changed the entire case, the judge might listen. Might. It is all we have. Rachel hung up. She looked at the iPad again. Tomorrow, everything would be decided. Tomorrow, she would either keep her daughter or lose her forever. She did not sleep at all. March 17th, 8:15 in the morning. Rachel stood in Emma's doorway watching her daughter get dressed for school. Emma, I need to ask you something important. Emma looked up. About the iPad. Yes, whatever is on there, do you really believe it will help Mommy? Emma nodded solemnly. I know it will, because it shows the truth, and the truth is supposed to win. You told me that. Rachel knelt down to her daughter's level. Baby, today is the last day of the court thing. The judge is going to make a decision. If you want to show her what is on the iPad, you might have to do something very brave. You might have to walk into the courtroom by yourself and ask to speak. Emma's eyes widened. By myself? Aunt Susan can bring you, but once you are inside, you would have to be the one to speak up. It would be scary, and I cannot promise the judge will listen. Emma was quiet for a moment. Then her small jaw set with determination. Daddy said bad things about you. That lady said bad things about you. Nobody is telling the truth except me. Somebody has to. Rachel felt tears threatening. You are so brave. You know that. You are the bravest person I have ever known. I learned it from you, Mommy. Rachel hugged her tight. Over her daughter's shoulder, she saw the cracked iPad on the bed. Whatever was on that device, it was about to change everything. 9:05, Harris County Family Courthouse. Rachel sat at the respondent's table with David Chen. Her hands were folded in her lap to hide the trembling. Across the aisle, Marcus looked relaxed, confident. He whispered something to Hayes and both men chuckled. Vanessa Cole was in the gallery again. Same elegant outfit, same superior expression. She caught Rachel looking and smiled. A smile that said, I have already won. Judge Morrison entered. Everyone rose. Be seated. We are here for closing arguments in the matter of Bennett versus Bennett. Mr. Hayes, you may proceed. Hayes stood and buttoned his jacket. He walked to the center of the room with the confidence of a man who knew victory was inevitable. Your Honor, over the past 2 days, you have seen the evidence. You have heard the testimony. And the picture that emerges is clear and troubling. He paused for effect. Rachel Bennett is a woman who cannot control her emotions. We saw it in the video. We heard it from Dr. Cole. We observed it in her own testimony when she made excuses and shifted blame. Rachel gripped the edge of the table. Marcus Bennett, by contrast, is a devoted father who has done everything in his power to protect his daughter. He documented his wife's neglect, not out of malice, but out of love. He retained a professional psychologist, not to attack his wife, but to ensure Emma's well-being. Hayes turned to face Rachel directly. This is not a case about punishment. This is a case about protection. Emma Bennett deserves a stable home, a reliable parent, a future free from the chaos her mother creates. He looked at the judge. I urge this court to grant full custody to Marcus Bennett, not because Rachel is evil, but because Emma deserves better. Hayes sat down. Marcus nodded gravely, playing his role to perfection. David rose slowly. His suit was not as expensive, his manner was not as polished, but his voice carried conviction. Your Honor. Mr. Hayes speaks of evidence. Let us talk about that evidence. He picked up a folder. Photographs taken during a deliberate setup. Credit card charges made by the husband and blamed on the wife. A psychological evaluation conducted by a woman who is romantically involved with the petitioner. Hayes objected. That has not been proven. The photograph speaks for itself, Your Honor. Dr. Cole invoked her Fifth Amendment rights when asked about the relationship. Innocent people do not do that. Judge Morrison made a note. Continue, Mr. Chen. Rachel Bennett is not perfect. No parent is. But she has devoted 8 years of her life to raising Emma. She quit her career at her husband's request. She trusted him with their finances. And he betrayed that trust systematically over 2 years to position himself for this exact moment. David walked toward the judge's bench. The video Mr. Hayes showed was 30 seconds of a woman in crisis. It did not show the 2 hours before when Marcus Bennett told his wife he was taking her daughter. It did not show him revealing he had stolen their life savings. It showed a human being reacting to betrayal. He paused. Your Honor, I have practiced family law for 20 years. I have seen parents who truly endangered their children. Rachel Bennett is not one of them. She is a mother who loves her daughter, and she deserves the chance to keep being that mother. David returned to his seat. Judge Morrison removed her glasses and rubbed her eyes. She looked tired. The weight of the decision showed on her face. This is a difficult case. Both parties have presented compelling arguments. I have reviewed all evidence and testimony. Rachel held her breath. However, I must base my ruling on what has been presented in this court. And what has been presented paints a concerning picture of Mrs. Bennett's emotional stability. No, 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 no. While I have reservations about Dr. Cole's objectivity, her credentials are legitimate. The video evidence, while potentially provoked, shows behavior that gives me pause. Rachel felt the room spinning. Therefore, I am prepared to rule in favor of... The courtroom doors burst open. Wait, Your Honor. Wait. Every head turned. Rachel's heart stopped. Emma stood in the doorway. She was wearing her school uniform. Her hair was in pigtails. She looked impossibly small against the massive courtroom doors. In her hands was the cracked iPad. Marcus jumped to his feet. What is she doing here? Get her out, Hayes shouted. Your Honor, this is completely improper. Judge Morrison banged her gavel. Order everyone sit down. Emma did not move. She stood frozen in the doorway, overwhelmed by the chaos she had caused. Behind her, Susan from church reached out to grab her arm, but Emma shook her off. Your Honor, Emma said. Her voice was small but clear. Can I please show you something? Judge Morrison stared at the child. The entire courtroom fell silent. Young lady, this is a closed proceeding. You should not be here. I know. Emma's voice trembled but did not break. But everybody is saying bad things about my mommy, and they are not true. I have proof. Marcus stood again. His face was white. Emma, sweetie, come here. Come to Daddy. Emma looked at her father, something hardened in her eyes. No. That single word echoed through the courtroom. Emma, this is not the place. You said bad things about Mommy. You made that lady say bad things about Mommy, but I saw what really happened. I have it right here. She held up the iPad. Hayes was on his feet. Your Honor, this is outrageous. A child cannot present evidence. This is a manipulation by the respondent. David stood. Your Honor, I had no knowledge this would happen, but this child clearly has something she believes is important. In the interest of justice, should we not at least hear what she has to say? Judge Morrison looked at Emma, then at Rachel, then at Marcus. Approach the bench, both counsel. Hayes and David walked to the judge. They huddled in whispered conversation. Rachel could not hear what they were saying. She could only watch her daughter standing alone in the center of the courtroom, clutching that iPad like a lifeline. After 2 minutes, Judge Morrison straightened. I am going to allow this. Under the circumstances and given the stakes involved, I want to see what this child has. Hayes exploded. Your Honor, this violates every rule of evidence. Mr. Hayes, I am the judge in this courtroom. I decide what rules apply, and I have decided that a child who walked in here alone, risking everything, deserves to be heard. She looked at Emma. Come forward, sweetheart. Come show me what you have. Emma walked down the center aisle. Her footsteps echoed on the marble floor. She passed her father without looking at him. She passed Vanessa Cole, who had gone pale. She passed her mother, who was crying silently. She stopped in front of the judge's bench. What is your name? Judge Morrison asked gently. Emma Grace Bennett. I am 8 years old. And what do you want to show me, Emma? Emma looked at the iPad in her hands. My daddy told me to throw away my old iPad, but I kept it because I use it to make videos. I like making videos. Okay? A few months ago, I was playing hide and seek with myself. I was hiding behind the big plant in the living room, and Daddy came home, but he was not alone. Marcus made a strangled sound. He was with a lady, the same lady who said bad things about Mommy in court. Everyone turned to look at Vanessa. She was gripping the bench in front of her knuckles white. They did not know I was there, so I made a video. I thought it was funny at first, like a secret spy movie. Emma's voice dropped. But then they started talking about Mommy, and it was not funny anymore. Judge Morrison leaned forward. What did they say, Emma? They said they were going to take me away from Mommy. They said Mommy was stupid and would not know. They said... Emma's lip trembled. They said I would forget Mommy if they gave me enough toys. Rachel sobbed. She could not help it. The sound escaped before she could stop it. Your Honor, Hayes interrupted. This is hearsay. A child's recollection cannot... I have the video, Emma said. Do you want to see it? Judge Morrison nodded slowly. Yes, Emma, I want to see it. The bailiff helped Emma connect the iPad to the courtroom's display system. The large screen at the front of the room flickered to life. Press play whenever you are ready, the bailiff said. Emma looked at her mother. Rachel nodded through her tears. Emma pressed play. The video was shaky at first, shot from a low angle, partially obscured by the leaves of a potted plant. The living room of the Bennett house was visible. The couch, the coffee table, the family photos on the wall. Then 2 figures entered the frame, Marcus and Vanessa Jean Cole. They were not maintaining professional distance. Marcus had his arm around her waist. He kissed her neck as they walked to the couch. She laughed and pushed him playfully. The audio was clear. Are you sure this plan will work? Vanessa asked. Baby, trust me. I have thought of everything. Marcus pulled her onto his lap. By this time next month, Rachel will be out of the house and I will have full custody of Emma. What about the money? Already transferred. 300 grand sitting in the offshore account. She has no idea. Vanessa traced a finger along his jaw. And my testimony, you are sure it will hold up. Your credentials are impeccable. No one will question a licensed psychologist. Marcus laughed. Besides, Rachel makes it easy. She cries at everything. One push and she will have a meltdown right there in court. The courtroom was dead silent. Rachel watched the screen with her hand over her mouth. On the video, Vanessa spoke again. "What about Emma? She seems very attached to her mother." Marcus shrugged. "Kids are easy. Buy her enough toys and she will forget Rachel exists within a year. You can be her new mommy, a better mommy." Vanessa smiled. "I would like that. Once we are in Switzerland, none of this will matter. New country, new life, just you, me, and Emma." Marcus kissed her deeply. "Rachel will be alone with nothing, exactly what she deserves." The video continued for another 30 seconds. More kissing, more planning, more casual cruelty discussed between two people who thought no one was watching. Then the screen went black. The courtroom remained frozen. Judge Morrison was the first to speak. Her voice was ice. "Mr. Bennett, is that you in the video?" Marcus did not answer. His face had gone gray. He looked like a man watching his own execution. "Mr. Bennett, I asked you a question." That video it must be manipulated. My daughter could not have—" "Your 8-year-old daughter manipulated a video, created deepfake footage." Judge Morrison's voice rose. "Do you take me for a fool?" Hayes tried to intervene. "Your Honor, we need time to verify the authenticity. Mr. Hayes, I just watched your client admit to fraud, theft, and conspiracy to commit perjury. I watched your expert witness discuss giving false testimony. What exactly do you need to verify?" Hayes had no answer. Judge Morrison turned to Vanessa Cole. "Dr. Cole, or should I say Ms. Cole, because I am fairly certain your license is about to be revoked. Would you like to make a statement?" Vanessa stood. Her composure had completely shattered. Tears streamed down her face. "He told me he loved me. He told me we would be together. I did not know. I did not think." "You did not think you would get caught." Judge Morrison's voice dripped with contempt. "You testified under oath that you had no personal relationship with Mr. Bennett. That was perjury. You provided a false psychological evaluation designed to take a child from her mother. That is conspiracy." She banged her gavel. "Bailiff, take Dr. Cole into custody pending charges." The bailiff moved toward Vanessa. She did not resist. She looked at Marcus with betrayal in her eyes. "You promised me," she whispered. "You promised we would be together." Marcus did not look at her. He was staring at his daughter. "Emma," he said. His voice was hoarse. "Princess, why did you do this?" Emma stood very still. Her small hands clutched the iPad to her chest. "Because you lied, Daddy. You lied about Mommy. You made everyone think she was bad. But she is not bad. She is the best mommy in the whole world. I did it for us, Emma. For our future." "No." Emma shook her head. "You did it for you, and for that lady. Mommy told me that lying is wrong. She said the truth always comes out. She was right." Marcus looked like he had been slapped. Judge Morrison spoke again. "Mr. Bennett, I am also ordering you taken into custody. The charges will include fraud, theft, witness tampering, and conspiracy. This court will recommend prosecution to the fullest extent of the law." 2 more bailiffs approached Marcus. He stood slowly, his expensive suit suddenly looking like a costume, a disguise for the man he really was. Hayes grabbed his briefcase. "I need to confer with my client." "Your client does not need a divorce lawyer anymore, Mr. Hayes. He needs a criminal defense attorney, and frankly, so do you. I will be referring your conduct in this case to the state bar for review." Hayes went pale. He backed away from Marcus as if distance could save him. The bailiffs handcuffed Marcus Bennett in the same courtroom where he had expected to destroy his wife. They led him toward the door. He passed Emma on the way out. For a moment, father and daughter looked at each other. "I love you, Princess," Marcus said. Emma did not respond. She turned away and walked to her mother. Rachel was still sitting at the respondents' table. She had not moved. She was not sure she could move. Everything had happened so fast. The video, the confession, the arrests. It felt like a dream. Then Emma climbed into her lap and hugged her tight. "I told you, Mommy. The truth always wins." Rachel burst into tears. She held her daughter and sobbed. 8 years of fear, months of terror, days of torture in this courtroom, all of it released in that moment. David Chen put his hand on her shoulder. He was crying too. "You did it, Rachel. You won." "Emma won," Rachel whispered. "My baby saved me." Judge Morrison allowed several minutes for the chaos to settle. She dismissed the gallery. She sent the bailiffs away. Finally, only Rachel, Emma, and David remained. "Mrs. Bennett, Emma, please approach." They walked to the bench together. Rachel held Emma's hand. "What I witnessed today was extraordinary," Judge Morrison said. Her voice was softer now, almost kind. "A child should never have to do what Emma did. She should never have been put in that position." "I know, Your Honor. I never wanted—" "I am not blaming you, Mrs. Bennett. I am acknowledging the courage of your daughter. She walked into this courtroom alone, knowing the stakes, and she told the truth when everyone else was lying." Judge Morrison looked at Emma. "Young lady, you are very brave. I hope you know that." Emma nodded shyly. "I was scared. But Mommy says being brave means doing the right thing even when you are scared." "Your mommy is right." Judge Morrison smiled. It transformed her stern face. "And that is exactly why I am granting her full custody of you, Emma, effective immediately." Rachel's knees buckled. David caught her arm. "Additionally, I am ordering that all marital assets be frozen pending investigation. Given the evidence of Mr. Bennett's fraud, I am confident those assets will be returned to you, Mrs. Bennett. The house, the savings, everything." "Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you so much." "Do not thank me. Thank your daughter." Judge Morrison banged her gavel one final time. "This case is closed." Rachel walked out of the courtroom holding Emma's hand. The marble hallway felt different now. The air felt lighter. The world felt possible again. David walked beside them. "I have been practicing law for 20 years. I have never seen anything like that." "Neither have I," Rachel said, "and I lived it." "What happens now?" Rachel looked down at Emma. Her daughter looked up at her with those green eyes, the same eyes that had seen too much, the same eyes that had recorded the truth. "Now we go home, and we start over." They walked through the courthouse doors into the Houston sunshine. Behind them, Marcus Bennett was being processed for booking. Vanessa Cole was being read her rights. Richard Hayes was calling his own lawyer. And in front of them was everything Rachel had thought she had lost: her freedom, her daughter, her future. Emma tugged on her hand. "Mommy." "Yes, baby. Can we get ice cream? I think we both deserve ice cream." Rachel laughed. It was the first real laugh she had let out in months. "Yes, sweetheart, we definitely deserve ice cream." They walked toward the car together. Mother and daughter, survivors. The cracked iPad was still in Emma's other hand, the device that had held the truth, the weapon that had defeated a monster. Rachel would keep it forever, a reminder that even in the darkest moments, the truth has a way of coming out. And sometimes it comes from the most unexpected places. The ice cream shop on Westheimer Road was nearly empty at 2:30 in the afternoon. Rachel and Emma sat in a corner booth, 2 half-eaten sundaes melting between them. Neither had much appetite. The adrenaline was fading and exhaustion was setting in. Rachel's phone had not stopped buzzing since they left the courthouse. David Chen. Unknown numbers. A text from Susan apologizing for letting Emma slip away. Rachel ignored them all. Right now, the only person who mattered was sitting across from her with chocolate on her chin. "Mommy, is Daddy going to jail?" The question hit Rachel like a punch. She had been dreading it. "I do not know, baby. Maybe. He did some very bad things." "Will I ever see him again?" Rachel reached across the table and took Emma's hand. "Do you want to see him again?" Emma was quiet for a long moment. Her spoon stirred the melting ice cream in slow circles. "I do not know. He is my daddy. But he lied. He lied about you. He tried to take me away." Her voice cracked. "Why would he do that if he loves me?" Rachel moved to Emma's side of the booth and pulled her close. "Sometimes grown-ups make very bad choices. It does not mean he does not love you. It means he got lost somewhere along the way." "Like in a forest." "Kind of. Like in a forest of his own selfishness. He could not see what was right anymore." Emma leaned into her mother. "I'm glad I had the iPad. I almost threw it away like he told me to." "Why did you keep it?" "Because it was mine. He gave me the new one, but the old one had my videos, my memories. I did not want to lose them." Rachel kissed the top of her daughter's head. "You saved us, Emma. You know that, right? You saved both of us." "I just told the truth. Sometimes the truth is the bravest thing you can tell." They sat there for another 20 minutes. The ice cream melted completely. The afternoon light shifted. Finally, Rachel's phone buzzed with a text she could not ignore. "David Chen, come to my office. There is something you need to know." Rachel paid the bill and drove across town with Emma in the back seat. Her daughter fell asleep almost immediately, exhausted from the most traumatic day of her young life. Rachel kept glancing in the rearview mirror, still unable to believe this was real. They had won. They were safe. But David's text worried her. "There is something you need to know." Those words never preceded good news. She pulled into the strip mall parking lot at 4:15. Emma woke up when the car stopped. "Where are we?" "Mr. Chen's office. He needs to talk to Mommy." "Can I come?" "Of course, baby. I am not letting you out of my sight." David met them in the small waiting room. His face was serious, not the face of a man celebrating victory. "Rachel, Emma, come in." They followed him to his office. Emma climbed onto the worn leather couch. Rachel sat next to her, holding her hand. "What is wrong?" Rachel asked. "We won, did we not?" "You won the custody case, completely. That is not in question." David sat behind his desk and folded his hands. "But there are complications." Rachel felt ice forming in her stomach. What kind of complications? "The money. Marcus transferred $300,000 to an offshore account. We know that from the video, but tracing it is proving difficult. The account is in the Cayman Islands, different jurisdiction, different laws. So we might not get it back. We are working on it, but it could take months, maybe years, and there is no guarantee." Rachel absorbed this. $300,000, their entire savings, gone. "What about the house?" "The house is in both your names. That makes it marital property. With Marcus facing criminal charges, the court has frozen all his assets. You can stay in the house, but you cannot sell it until the legal matters are resolved." "How long will that take?" "Criminal trials can take a year or more, maybe longer if he fights the charges." Rachel closed her eyes. She had won. But the victory was hollow. She was still trapped in the house where Marcus had plotted against her, still waiting for money that might never come. "There is more," David said. "Of course there is. Marcus made bail." Rachel's eyes flew open. "What? He posted bail 2 hours ago. $100,000. He is out." "How is that possible?" "He committed fraud, perjury. He tried to steal my daughter." "Those are serious charges, but they are not violent crimes. The judge set bail. Someone paid it." David leaned forward. "Rachel, I need you to understand what this means. Marcus is out there. He is angry. He has lost everything he planned for. Men like that can be dangerous." Emma stirred on the couch. "Is Daddy coming home?" Rachel pulled her closer. "No, baby. Daddy is not coming home." "But he is out of jail." "For now, but he is not allowed to come near us. Right, Mr. Chen?" David nodded. "The judge issued a restraining order. Marcus cannot come within 500 feet of you or Emma. If he does, he goes back to jail." "What about the house?" "It is his house, too. He has been ordered to stay away. He will have to find somewhere else to live." Small comfort. Rachel knew restraining orders were just pieces of paper. They did not stop determined men. They only provided consequences after something bad happened. "What do I do?" Rachel asked. "Be careful. Stay alert. Document everything. If he contacts you in any way, call the police immediately." Rachel nodded. But inside, the fear that had lifted in the courtroom was settling back into her bones. Marcus was free, he was angry, and he blamed her for everything. They drove home as the sun was setting. The house looked different now, sinister. The place where Marcus had whispered his plans, the place where he had recorded her breakdown, the place where he had kissed Vanessa while his daughter hid behind a plant. Rachel did not want to go inside. "Mommy, can we stay somewhere else tonight?" Emma had read her mind. "Yes, baby, I think that is a good idea." She called Susan from the church. 20 minutes later, they were in a guest bedroom at Susan's house, surrounded by floral wallpaper and the smell of homemade bread. It was not home, but it felt safer than the house they had shared with a monster. That night, Rachel could not sleep. She lay in the unfamiliar bed, listening to Emma's soft breathing beside her, and thought about everything that had happened: the marriage, the manipulation, the trial, the video. She thought about Marcus. Where was he tonight? What was he planning? The restraining order meant nothing to a man who had spent 2 years plotting her destruction. He would not stop. She knew that with certainty. Her phone buzzed at 11:47. Unknown number. She should not have answered, but something made her press the green button. "Hello?" Silence on the other end. Then breathing. Slow, deliberate. "Hello, who is this?" "You ruined everything." Marcus. His voice was barely recognizable, raw, broken. "Marcus, you are not supposed to contact me." "I do not care. I do not care about anything anymore. You took everything from me, my daughter, my reputation, my freedom. You did that to yourself. I did not make you lie. I did not make you steal. I did not make you cheat. I was going to give Emma a better life. Switzerland, good schools, a real future. You ruined it. You were going to steal her from her mother. That is not a better life. That is kidnapping." Marcus laughed. A hollow, terrifying sound. "You think this is over? You think because some judge banged a gavel this is finished? I spent 2 years building that case. 2 years. And your brat destroyed it with a stupid iPad. Do not call her that. I will call her whatever I want. She is my daughter too. Not anymore. You gave up that right when you tried to use her as a pawn." Silence again. Then Marcus spoke, and his voice had changed. Calmer, colder. "Rachel, I want you to listen very carefully. You may have won in court, but courts do not matter in the real world. In the real world, money matters. Power matters, and I still have both. You have nothing. Your accounts are frozen. You think that offshore account is the only money I have. I have been planning this for years. There are things you do not know, things no one knows." Rachel's blood ran cold. "What are you talking about?" "You will find out soon. But here is what I want you to understand. This is not over. It will never be over. You took my daughter. You humiliated me, and I am going to make sure you regret it for the rest of your life." The line went dead. Rachel sat in the darkness, phone clutched in her trembling hand. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it. She looked at Emma still sleeping peacefully and felt a terror unlike anything she had experienced in the courtroom. Marcus was not going to stop. The restraining order, the criminal charges, the frozen assets, none of it mattered. He was a man with nothing left to lose, and he blamed her for everything. She did not sleep at all that night. At 6 in the morning, she called David Chen. "He called me last night. He threatened me." "Did you record it?" "No, I did not think." "Okay, we need to report this to the police. It is a violation of the restraining order." "Will that matter?" "He does not care about orders." David was quiet for a moment. "Rachel, I'm going to be honest with you. Men like Marcus, men who have lost control of their narrative, they can be unpredictable. Some of them accept defeat and move on. Others what? Others escalate. They decide if they cannot win, nobody wins." Rachel felt sick. "What do I do?" "Report the call, document everything, consider a security system for the house, and Rachel, yes, stay vigilant. Do not go anywhere alone if you can help it. And if you see him, if he comes near you, run. Do not confront him. Just run." She hung up and looked at Emma still asleep in the morning light. This was supposed to be their new beginning, their fresh start. Instead, it felt like the beginning of something worse. The police took her statement at 8:30 in the morning. They noted the violation. They said they would look into it, but Rachel could see in their eyes that a phone call was not their priority. They had murders and robberies and domestic violence calls. A threatening phone call from an ex-husband was low on the list. She drove to the house that afternoon with Emma and Susan. She needed clothes, toys, the essentials for a life in hiding. They moved quickly through the rooms, stuffing suitcases with whatever they could grab. Rachel paused in Emma's bedroom. The cracked iPad was still on the desk where Emma had left it that morning, centuries ago. She picked it up and held it for a moment. This small device had saved them, and now it needed to be preserved. "Mommy, what are you doing?" "Making sure this iPad stays safe. It is evidence now. We might need it again." "For what?" "I do not know, baby, but I want to be ready." They left the house at 3:15. Rachel locked the door behind her, wondering if she would ever feel safe walking through it again. The next week passed in a blur of fear and bureaucracy. Rachel filed police reports, met with prosecutors, gave statements, signed documents. The wheels of justice turned slowly, grinding forward while she waited for something to happen. Marcus did not call again. But Rachel felt his presence everywhere. A car that seemed to follow her for too long. A shadow at the edge of a parking lot. A hang-up call in the middle of the night. She could not prove any of it was him. But she knew. Emma started having nightmares. She would wake up screaming for her mother, crying about monsters in the dark. Rachel held her through each episode, whispering reassurances she did not believe. "Everything is going to be okay. Mommy will protect you. We are safe. Lies, all lies." But what else could she tell an 8-year-old? On March 24th, exactly 1 week after the trial, David Chen called with news. Vanessa Cole made a deal with prosecutors. Rachel gripped the phone tighter. What kind of deal? She agreed to testify against Marcus in exchange for reduced charges, probation instead of prison time. She is getting away with it. Not exactly. Her psychology license has been permanently revoked. She is pleading guilty to perjury and conspiracy. She will have a felony record for life. But no prison. No prison. In exchange, she is giving prosecutors everything. Emails, text messages, financial records. Apparently, Marcus kept her very informed about his plans. Rachel processed this. Vanessa was betraying Marcus, just like he had betrayed her. What does this mean for the case against him? It means they have a cooperating witness, someone who was inside the conspiracy. Combined with Emma's video, the prosecution has an airtight case. Marcus is looking at 15 to 20 years. If he is convicted. When he is convicted. With Vanessa's testimony, there is no way he walks. Rachel should have felt relief. Instead, she felt a cold dread. "David, he called me. He said this is not over. He said he has resources no one knows about. What if he runs? He surrendered his passport as a condition of bail. He cannot leave the country. He planned a divorce for 2 years without anyone knowing. You think a passport will stop him?" David was silent. "I am going to make some calls," he finally said. "In the meantime, stay careful." Rachel hung up and looked out the window of Susan's guest room. Somewhere out there, Marcus was planning his next move. She could feel it. The way you can feel a storm coming before the clouds appear. She just did not know where it would strike. The answer came 3 days later, March 27th, 9:20 in the morning. Rachel was helping Emma with homework at Susan's kitchen table when her phone rang. David Chen. "Rachel, where are you right now?" "At Susan's house." "Why?" "Stay there. Do not go anywhere. I am sending someone to you." "David, what is going on?" "Marcus missed his court appearance this morning. The judge issued a warrant. He has disappeared." Rachel's world tilted. Disappeared where? "No one knows. His apartment is empty. His car is gone. He withdrew $50,000 in cash from a safety deposit box yesterday. A box no one knew about." Oh God. "Rachel, listen to me. Until he is found, you need to assume he is coming for you. Do not go outside. Do not answer the door for anyone you do not know. I am calling the police right now to request protection." Rachel grabbed Emma and pulled her close. "How did this happen? He was supposed to be monitored." He was wearing an ankle monitor. He cut it off. By the time the alert went through, he was already gone. Emma looked up at her mother with frightened eyes. "Mommy, what is wrong?" Rachel forced herself to stay calm. "Nothing, baby. Mr. Chen just had some news." "Rachel," David said, "the police are going to ask you questions. They need to know anywhere Marcus might go, anyone who might be helping him. Think carefully. Is there anything you might have forgotten?" Rachel's mind raced through years of memories, conversations, hints, offhand comments. And then it hit her. His sister, Margaret. She lives in Galveston. They were close when we first got married, but they had a falling out a few years ago. I thought they had not spoken since. But what if... That is helpful. I will pass it to the authorities. David, if he went to her, that is only an hour away. He could be here by now. I know. That is why I need you to stay exactly where you are. Do not open the door. Do not go near the windows. Help is coming. He hung up. Rachel stared at the phone in her hand. Everything she had fought for, everything she had won, it could all disappear in an instant. Marcus was out there, free, desperate, and heading toward her. "Mommy, you are scaring me." Rachel looked down at Emma. Her daughter's face was pale with fear. "Come here, sweetheart." She pulled Emma onto her lap and held her tight. Through the window she could see the quiet suburban street. Birds singing, trees swaying, a normal spring morning in Houston. But somewhere out there a monster was hunting. The police arrived at 10:45. 2 officers. They checked the perimeter of the house, asked Rachel questions, took notes. Then they left to continue their search. Susan brought sandwiches at noon. No one ate. At 2:15, Rachel's phone rang. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Mrs. Bennett, this is Detective Morrison, Houston PD. We found your husband's car." "Where?" "Abandoned at a gas station in Galveston. His sister claims she has not seen him. We are not sure we believe her, but we cannot prove anything." "So he is still out there?" "Yes, ma'am. We have units searching the area. We have alerted neighboring jurisdictions. But I need to be honest with you. If he does not want to be found, this could take time." "What am I supposed to do? Hide forever?" "For now, stay where you are. We have a unit watching the house. If he comes anywhere near you, we will know." Rachel hung up and looked out the window. She could see the police car parked across the street. 2 officers inside watching, protecting. But Marcus was smart. He had fooled everyone for years. He would not walk up to the front door in broad daylight. He would find another way. Night fell. Emma finally slept exhausted from fear. Rachel sat in the living room with Susan, both women too anxious to close their eyes. "You should try to rest," Susan said. "I cannot. The police are outside. They will not let anything happen." The police thought the restraining order would stop him. They thought the ankle monitor would keep track of him. He has outsmarted them every time. Susan reached over and took Rachel's hand. "Then we pray. We put this in God's hands, and we trust that He will protect you." Rachel wanted to believe. She wanted to have faith. But her faith had been shattered years ago, broken piece by a man who had promised to love her. "I do not know how to pray anymore," she whispered. "Then I will pray for both of us." Susan bowed her head. Rachel watched her friend's lips move in silent supplication. She wished she could feel the peace that seemed to radiate from Susan's face, but all she felt was fear. At 11:37, Rachel's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I see you." Her blood turned to ice. She ran to the window. The police car was still there. The street was empty. No movement anywhere. Another text. "The police cannot watch everywhere." Rachel grabbed Susan's arm. "Call 911, now." "What? Why?" "Just do it." Susan fumbled for her phone. Rachel grabbed Emma from the guest room, waking her roughly. "Mommy, what?" "Be quiet, baby. We need to go." "Go where?" Rachel did not answer. She carried Emma toward the back door, her mind racing through escape routes, the garage, the neighbor's yard, anywhere but here. Her phone buzzed again. "Did you really think you could take my daughter from me?" Rachel reached the back door. Her hand closed on the knob, and then the lights went out. The entire house plunged into darkness. Emma screamed. Susan cried out somewhere behind them. "Mommy! I have you, baby! Hold on to me!" Rachel fumbled in the dark. Her eyes were not adjusting. The blackness was absolute, and then she heard it. A door opening, footsteps, slow, deliberate, coming closer. "Rachel!" Marcus's voice, in the house, in the dark. "I told you this was not over." Rachel clutched Emma against her chest, her back pressed against the wall. The darkness was suffocating. She could hear Marcus's footsteps somewhere ahead, slow and deliberate, like a predator savoring the hunt. "You thought you could hide from me." Marcus's voice echoed through the blackness. "You thought a restraining order would stop me. You thought the police could protect you." Emma whimpered against Rachel's shoulder. "Mommy, I am scared." "Shh, baby. Do not make a sound." Rachel's mind raced. The back door was 3 feet away. If she could reach it, if she could get outside, the police were right there across the street. They would see her. They would help. She inched along the wall, one hand feeling for the doorknob. "I can hear you moving, Rachel." Marcus laughed, that hollow, terrifying laugh. "Do you think I came here without a plan? I have been watching this house for 2 days. I know every entrance, every exit, every blind spot." Rachel's hand found the knob. She twisted it, pulled. It did not move. "Locked from the outside," Marcus said. "I told you. I planned for everything." Rachel's heart hammered against her ribs. Trapped. They were trapped. "What do you want, Marcus?" "What do I want?" His voice moved closer. "I want my life back. I want my daughter back. I want you to suffer the way you made me suffer." "I did not make you suffer. You did this to yourself." "No." The word was sharp, absolute. "You turned Emma against me. You manipulated her. You made her record that video." "Emma recorded that video because she saw the truth. She saw who you really are." "She is 8 years old. She does not know what she saw." Rachel heard him move, closer. She pressed herself tighter against the wall, shielding Emma with her body. "Daddy." Emma's small voice cut through the darkness. Rachel felt her daughter squirm against her. "Daddy, why are you doing this?" Silence. For a moment, the footsteps stopped. "Princess." Marcus's voice changed. Softer, almost gentle. "Daddy is not going to hurt you. I would never hurt you. I just need you to come with me." "No." "Emma, sweetie, listen to me. Mommy has confused you. She made you think Daddy was bad, but I am not bad. I love you. If you love me, why did you lie? Why did you say mean things about Mommy? Why did you bring that lady to our house?" Marcus did not answer. "I saw everything, Daddy. I heard everything. You wanted to take me to Switzerland. You wanted to make me forget Mommy. That is not love. That is stealing." Rachel held her breath. Her 8-year-old daughter was standing up to the monster in the dark. "Emma, you do not understand. You are too young." "I understand lying. Mommy taught me lying is wrong. You lied. A lot." The footsteps resumed. Faster now, angrier. "Enough of this. Rachel, give me my daughter. Now." "She is not yours anymore. The court said so." "I do not care what the court said." Marcus's voice exploded. "She is my blood, my child. No piece of paper can change that." Rachel heard something crash. Glass breaking. Susan screamed from somewhere in the house. "Susan!" Rachel called out. "Are you okay? Stay where you are." Susan's voice was shaky but strong. "I called the police. They are coming." "The police are useless," Marcus spat. "By the time they get in here, we will be gone. We are not going anywhere with you. You do not have a choice." Rachel felt him close now, so close she could smell his cologne, the same cologne she had smelled for 10 years, the same cologne that now made her stomach turn. "Marcus, please. Whatever you are planning, it will not work. Think about what happens next. More charges, more time in prison. Is that what you want?" "Prison." He laughed again. I am already facing 20 years. What is a few more? At least this way, I take something with me. Take what Emma will never forgive you for this. She will grow up hating you. She will grow up with me. In time, she will understand. Understand what? That her father kidnapped her, that he terrorized her mother, that he destroyed their family. I did not destroy this family, you did. You and your lawyer and that video. You took everything from me. You had everything. You had a wife who loved you, a daughter who adored you, a home, a life. And you threw it all away for what money? Another woman. Marcus grabbed her arm. His grip was iron. Rachel gasped in pain. Let go of me. Give me Emma. Never. He pulled harder. Rachel felt herself being dragged away from the wall. Emma screamed and clung to her mother's neck. Daddy, stop. You are hurting Mommy. Come with me, Emma, right now. No, I do not want to go with you. I want to stay with Mommy. Marcus's hand found Rachel's throat. He squeezed. Not enough to choke, just enough to terrify. Last chance, Rachel. Let her go or I swear to God. The front door exploded inward. Light flooded the hallway. Flashlights. Shouting. Police officers swarming through the entrance. HPD, nobody move. Marcus released Rachel's throat. She stumbled backward, clutching Emma, gasping for air. Get on the ground now! Marcus did not move. He stood frozen, caught in the crossbeams of a dozen flashlights. I said, get on the ground. You do not understand, Marcus said. His voice was calm now, eerily calm. She is my daughter. I have the right to see my daughter. Sir, you are in violation of a restraining order. You are trespassing, and you just assaulted a woman. Get on the ground now, or we will use force. Marcus looked at Rachel. In the harsh light, she could see his face clearly. The desperation, the rage, the madness that had consumed him. This is not over, he said. It is over, Marcus. It has been over since Emma showed that video. Something broke behind his eyes, the last thread of sanity snapping. He lunged, not toward Rachel, not toward the police, toward Emma. His hands reached for his daughter. Rachel spun away, shielding Emma with her body. Officers shouted. Someone fired a taser. Marcus convulsed and crashed to the floor, his body twitching, his mouth open in a silent scream. They were on him in seconds, handcuffs clicking, knees on his back, voices shouting commands. Rachel collapsed against the wall, sliding down to the floor, Emma still clutched in her arms. Both of them were crying. Both of them were shaking, but they were alive. Susan appeared from somewhere in the house. She dropped beside them and wrapped her arms around both mother and daughter. It is over, Susan whispered. It is over. You are safe. Rachel could not speak. She could only hold her daughter and cry. On the floor, Marcus Bennett lay face down, handcuffed, defeated. His expensive clothes were ruined. His elaborate plans had crumbled. Everything he had built, everything he had schemed for, ended on the floor of a suburban house with police officers standing over him. He turned his head and looked at Rachel. There was no rage left in his eyes, just emptiness. I loved you, he said. I really did. Once. Rachel looked at the man she had married, the man she had trusted, the man who had systematically destroyed her life and then tried to take her daughter. No, she said quietly, you never loved anyone but yourself. They dragged him out into the night. The aftermath took hours, statements, questions, medical examinations. Emma was checked by paramedics and pronounced physically unharmed, though the psychological scars would take years to heal. Detective Morrison arrived at 2 a.m. She sat with Rachel in Susan's kitchen while Emma slept in the other room. He is being charged with breaking and entering assault violation of a restraining order and attempted kidnapping, the detective said. Combined with his existing charges, he is looking at 30 to 40 years. Will he get bail again? Not a chance. After tonight, no judge in Texas will let him walk. Rachel nodded slowly. The numbness was setting in, the adrenaline fading. Soon she would crash completely. Mrs. Bennett, I have to be honest with you. In 20 years on the force, I have never seen anything like what happened in that courtroom. Your daughter is remarkable." "I know." The video she recorded, the courage she showed, it was incredible. Most adults would not have done what she did. "Emma has always been special. I just did not know how special until all of this." The detective stood. "We will be in touch about the trial, but for now, get some rest. You have earned it." Rachel watched her leave. Then she walked to the guest room and lay down next to Emma. Her daughter stirred but did not wake. Rachel watched her sleep, the peaceful face, the gentle breathing, the innocence that had somehow survived everything. "I am so sorry, baby," Rachel whispered. "I am sorry you had to go through all of this. I am sorry I could not protect you better." Emma's hand found hers in the darkness, a small squeeze, then stillness again. They slept. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity and healing. The house in the suburbs was put on the market. Rachel could not live there anymore, could not walk through rooms haunted by Marcus's presence, could not sleep in a bed where he had plotted her destruction. They moved into a small apartment across town, 2 bedrooms, simple furniture, nothing fancy, but it was theirs, clean and new and untainted by the past. David Chen called with updates. Marcus had been denied bail. Vanessa's cooperation was proving invaluable. The offshore account had been traced and frozen. The $300,000 would be returned eventually. "What about the house?" Rachel asked. "Once it sells, half of the proceeds are yours. Maybe more given Marcus's criminal conduct. I am pushing for a larger share." "I do not care about the money anymore." "You should. Emma will need college someday. You need to rebuild your life." Rachel looked around her small apartment. Emma was in her room doing homework. Normal, safe, alive. "My life is already rebuilt," Rachel said. "Everything else is just details." 3 weeks after the break in Vanessa Cole's sentencing hearing took place, Rachel did not attend. She did not need to see the woman who had tried to destroy her. But David sent her the results. 5 years probation, 200 hours community service, permanent revocation of her psychology license, a felony record that would follow her forever. "She got off easy," David said. "She got what she deserved, a lifetime of everyone knowing what she did." "You are more forgiving than I would be." "I am not forgiving. I am tired. I want to move on." And she did. April turned to May. May turned to June. The Texas heat settled over Houston like a blanket. Rachel found a job teaching 3rd grade at a public school in their new neighborhood. The pay was modest, but it felt right. She was doing what she loved again, being who she was before Marcus convinced her to give it all up. Emma started therapy, once a week with a child psychologist, a real one. This time someone David had personally vetted. The nightmares began to fade. The questions about her father became less frequent. Slowly she was healing. On a Saturday morning in late June, Rachel sat on their small balcony with a cup of coffee. Emma was inside watching cartoons. The birds were singing. Life felt almost normal. Her phone rang. David Chen. "We have a trial date, October 15th. Rachel's stomach tightened. "That soon?" "The prosecution wants to move fast. They have an overwhelming case. Marcus's defense team is already talking about a plea deal." "What kind of deal, 20 years minimum. No chance of parole for 15. Rachel was quiet for a moment. 20 years. Her daughter would be 28 when Marcus got out. A grown woman, a stranger to the man who had tried to steal her. "Is that enough?" she asked. "Honestly, no. Nothing is enough for what he did. But it is justice. It is the system working the way it is supposed to." "What if I want to make a statement at the sentencing?" "You have every right. The judge will allow victim impact statements. Are you sure you want to?" Rachel thought about the past 6 months, the manipulation, the terror, the moment in the darkness when Marcus's hand closed around her throat. And then she thought about Emma, walking into that courtroom alone, holding up a cracked iPad, telling the truth when everyone else was lying. "Yes," Rachel said. "I am sure." October 15th, Harris County Criminal Courthouse. The courtroom was larger than the one where the custody battle had taken place. Higher ceilings, more seats, more people. The case had attracted local media attention. A financial executive charged with fraud, kidnapping, and assault. His 8-year-old daughter's secret recording going viral. It was the kind of story that captured public imagination. Rachel sat in the front row of the gallery. Emma was not there. She had asked to come, but Rachel refused. Her daughter had already done enough. She did not need to see her father in chains. Marcus was brought in through a side door. Orange jumpsuit, handcuffs, a broken man with nothing left to lose and nothing left to gain. He looked at Rachel as he passed. She met his eyes without flinching. She was not afraid of him anymore. The hearing began with formalities. Charges read, guilty pleas entered. Marcus had accepted the deal. 25 years with possibility of parole after 18. His lawyers had convinced him it was better than risking a trial. Then the judge asked if there were any victim impact statements. Rachel stood. She walked to the front of the courtroom and faced Marcus Bennett for the last time. Your Honor, I have prepared a statement, but I find that I do not need to read it. What I need to say is simple. She looked at Marcus. He would not meet her eyes. I married this man when I was 24 years old. I believed he loved me. I trusted him with my life, my career, my future, and eventually my daughter. And he used all of that trust to plan my destruction. Her voice was steady, strong. For 2 years, while I was cooking his meals and raising his child and keeping his house, he was building a case to take everything from me. He forged documents, he staged photographs, he hired his mistress to pose as a psychologist and lie under oath. He emptied our savings. He tried to turn our daughter against me. And when that failed, when Emma showed the world who he really was, he came to kill me. I believe that. In my heart, I believe that if the police had not arrived when they did, I would not be standing here today. She paused. But I am standing here, because of my daughter, because of the truth, because even in the darkest moment, light finds a way. Rachel turned to face the judge. Your Honor, I do not hate Marcus Bennett. Hatred would give him too much power over my life. What I feel is pity. Pity for a man who had everything and destroyed it for nothing. Pity for a man who will spend the next 2 decades in a cell while his daughter grows up without him. I am not asking for the maximum sentence. I am not asking for revenge. I am asking for justice. For my daughter. For myself. For every woman who has been manipulated and gaslit and made to feel crazy by a man who claimed to love her. Thank you, Your Honor. She returned to her seat. The courtroom was silent. The judge made notes for several minutes. Then he looked up. Mr. Bennett, please rise. Marcus stood. His shoulders were slumped. His face was gray. I have reviewed all evidence in this case. I have heard the testimony. I have considered the plea agreement, and I have listened to Mrs. Bennett's statement. In my 30 years on the bench, I have seen many cases of domestic manipulation, but I have never seen anything as calculated as cruel as what you did to your wife and daughter. You weaponized the court system. You weaponized your child. You weaponized your mistress, all to destroy a woman whose only crime was trusting you. The plea agreement calls for 25 years. I am accepting that agreement. But I want you to understand something, Mr. Bennett. 25 years is not enough. If the law allowed me to sentence you to a lifetime of regret, I would. Instead, I can only hope that every day you spend behind bars, you think about what you lost. A wife who loved you, a daughter who adored you, a life that could have been beautiful. Court is adjourned. The gavel fell. Marcus was led away. He did not look back. Rachel walked out of the courthouse into the October sunshine. David Chen was waiting for her on the steps. It is done, he said. It is done. How do you feel? Rachel thought about the question. How did she feel? Relief, exhaustion, a strange emptiness where the fear used to live. I feel free, she finally said. For the first time in years, I feel free. She drove home to find Emma waiting by the window. Her daughter ran to meet her before she even got out of the car. Mommy, what happened? Is it over? Rachel knelt down and hugged her tight. It is over, baby. It is finally over. Is Daddy going to jail for a long time? Yes, a very long time. Emma was quiet for a moment. Will he ever come back? Not for many, many years, and by then you will be a grown-up. You can decide for yourself if you want to see him." "I do not think I will want to." "That is okay. Whatever you decide, I will support you." Emma pulled back and looked at her mother with those serious green eyes. "Mommy, I have a question." "Anything, sweetheart." "Do you think Daddy ever loved me? Really loved me?" Rachel felt her heart crack. The question every child of divorce asks, the question that has no good answer. "I think he loved you in his own way," she said carefully, "but his way was broken. His love was mixed up with control and selfishness. Real love means putting someone else first, and Daddy never learned how to do that." Emma nodded slowly. "I think I understand." "You are very wise for 8 years old." "Almost 9. My birthday is next month." Rachel smiled. "I know. What do you want to do for your birthday?" Emma's face lit up. "Can we go to the beach? Just you and me, and maybe eat ice cream for dinner?" "That sounds perfect." They went inside together. Rachel made macaroni and cheese. They watched a movie. They laughed at the funny parts. Normal, simple, beautiful. That night, Rachel tucked Emma into bed and sat with her until she fell asleep. Then she walked to the living room and sat in the darkness thinking about everything that had happened. 1 year ago, she had been a woman with no identity, a shadow in her own home, a servant to a man who despised her. She had given up her career, her independence, her sense of self. She had believed she was worthless because he told her she was. Now she was a teacher again, a mother, a survivor. She had faced the worst thing imaginable and come out the other side. Not unscathed, never unscathed, but whole, stronger than before. Her phone buzzed. A text from David Chen. "The offshore money came through. $287,000 transferred to your account." Rachel stared at the number. Almost $300,000. Enough for a down payment on a house. Enough for Emma's college fund. Enough for a future. She typed back a single word. "Thanks." Then she put the phone down and looked out the window at the Houston skyline. Somewhere out there, Marcus was being processed into the state prison system. Somewhere out there, Vanessa Cole was rebuilding a life without a license or a reputation. Somewhere out there, the world kept spinning indifferent to the drama of one small family. But here in this small apartment, Rachel Bennett had everything she needed. A month later, on Emma's 9th birthday, they drove to Galveston. The beach was nearly empty on a Thursday morning in November. They built sand castles. They collected shells. They ate ice cream for lunch and did not feel guilty about it. As the sun started to set, Emma sat next to Rachel on a blanket, watching the waves roll in. "Mommy?" "Yes, baby. Thank you for fighting for me." Rachel felt tears prick her eyes. "Thank you for fighting for me, Emma. You saved us. You know that, right?" "I just told the truth. Sometimes the truth is the hardest thing to tell, and the bravest." Emma leaned against her mother's shoulder. "Mommy, do you think we will be okay? Really okay?" Rachel put her arm around her daughter and pulled her close. She thought about everything they had been through, the lies, the fear, the darkness. And then she thought about everything that lay ahead. New schools, new friends, new adventures, a lifetime of possibilities. "Yes," she said, "we are going to be more than okay. We are going to be amazing." Emma smiled. "I believe you." They sat there until the sun disappeared below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and gold. Mother and daughter, survivors, heroes in their own story. The cracked iPad was at home now, tucked away in a memory box with other important things. Someday when Emma was older, Rachel would give it to her. A reminder of what she had done, a symbol of the power of truth. But for now, they had the beach, they had the sunset, they had each other, and that was enough. That was everything. 6 months later, Rachel bought a small house in a quiet neighborhood. 3 bedrooms, a backyard with a swing set, a kitchen where she could bake cookies with her daughter. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just home. On the day they moved in, Emma ran through every room claiming spaces, planning decorations. Her laughter echoed off the empty walls. Rachel stood in the living room boxes piled around her and felt something she had not felt in years. Hope. Real, genuine hope for the future. Her phone rang. David Chen. "Just checking in. How is the new place?" "Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I am glad. You deserve it, Rachel. After everything you have been through, you deserve happiness." "Thank you, David, for everything. I could not have survived this without you." "You survived it because you are strong. I just helped with the paperwork." Rachel laughed, modest as always. "I have news, by the way. Richard Hayes, Marcus's lawyer, he was disbarred last week. The ethics committee found he knowingly presented false evidence." "Good." "And Vanessa Cole moved to Arizona. Apparently Houston was not welcoming after her story hit the news." "I hope she finds what she is looking for." "That is very generous of you." "It is not generosity, it is indifference. I do not have space in my life for anger anymore. I have too much living to do." David was quiet for a moment. "You know, Rachel, in 20 years of practicing law, I have seen a lot of people broken by what you went through, but you are not broken. You are rebuilt. That is rare. That is special." "I had help," Rachel said. "From you, from Susan, from Emma. Nobody survives alone." "Speaking of Emma, how is she?" Rachel looked out the window. Her daughter was in the backyard trying to figure out how to hang a tire swing from the old oak tree. "She is amazing. Every day a little more amazing." "She is her mother's daughter," Rachel smiled. "The best compliment I have ever received." They said goodbye. Rachel put down her phone and walked outside. Emma looked up with a frustrated expression. "Mommy, I cannot reach the branch. Can you help?" "Of course, sweetheart." Together they figured it out. The rope thrown over the branch, the tire secured at just the right height. Emma climbed on and swung back and forth laughing as the cool spring breeze caught her hair. Rachel watched her daughter fly through the air. This child who had walked into a courtroom alone, who had faced down a monster with nothing but a cracked iPad and the truth, who had saved her mother's life without even understanding what she was doing. Emma caught her looking. "Why are you smiling, Mommy?" "Because I am happy." "Is that all?" "That is everything, baby. That is absolutely everything." That night, after Emma was asleep in her new room with its purple walls and glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, Rachel sat on the back porch and looked up at the sky. The same stars she had wished on as a child, the same stars that had watched over her darkest moments and her brightest triumphs. She thought about the woman she used to be, scared, silent, small. She thought about the woman she was now, strong, certain, free. The journey between those two women had been brutal, painful beyond words, but necessary. Every tear, every fear, every moment of despair had led her here, to this porch, this house, this life. She would not trade a single moment of the struggle, because the struggle had made her who she was, a survivor, a mother, a woman who knew finally and completely her own worth. The story of Rachel and Emma Bennett did not end on that porch. It was just beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, more obstacles to overcome, more moments of doubt and fear and uncertainty, but they would face them together, mother and daughter, best friends, partners in the greatest adventure of all, life. And if this story teaches anything, it is this: the truth always finds a way. Justice may be delayed, but it cannot be denied. And the love between a mother and her child is stronger than any lie, any manipulation, any darkness that tries to tear them apart. Rachel Bennett learned that lesson the hard way. Emma Bennett proved it with a cracked iPad and the courage to speak up when everyone else was silent. Their story is finished. Their lives are just beginning. And somewhere in Houston, in a small house with a tire swing in the backyard, a mother and daughter are building something beautiful from the ashes of betrayal. That is not just survival. That is victory.